Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Isabella and today I'm going to show you how to make a crochet crewmate from the game Among Us. So let's get into it. So I'm going to be using my red category 4 yarn, my white category 4 yarn, gray category 4 yarn, black category 4 yarn, my scissors, my size 5 milliliter crochet hook, my yarn needle, my stitch marker, and a little bit of stuffing. So let's get started. I'm going to start off by making a magic ring. It's very easy. You can watch me here. You just kind of make like a little loop, but don't close it all the way. And then I'm going to start by making a chain 1, and then we are going to do 6 single crochet into our magic ring. So you just saw me do the chain 1, and now we're going to do our 6 single crochet. So there's 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 3 single crochet, 4 single crochet, 5 single crochet, and 6. Then we are going to just pull on that little tail that's hanging at the end, right there. And you just pull it all the way tight, and it'll close your magic ring. That's the magic part of the magic ring. So you want to make sure to count that you have exactly 6 stitches. So I'm going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. So now we are going to slip stitch into our first single crochet right here. So just go ahead and do your slip stitch. It's kind of like a single crochet, but you don't yarn over for a second time. So you go in, yarn over, and you just pull through once. So now you have a little circle with 6 single crochet. Now to start row 2, we are going to single crochet into the first stitch, and then I'm going to grab my stitch marker and I'm going to mark that first stitch so that when we come back around we know where the end of our row is. So now in this row we're going to do 2 single crochet in every stitch. So that first single crochet counted, now we do the second. And in every stitch you want to do 2 single crochet and end up with 12 single crochet all together at the end of your row. So I'll meet you back when I have my 12 single crochet. So here I am with my 12 single crochet, and I'm just going to go ahead and double check to make sure that I have 12 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so I'm going to put my needle back into my work. I'm going to remove my stitch marker to go ahead and start my 3rd round. So this round is just 1 single crochet in each stitch. So you should end up with 12 single crochet all together, just like the previous row. And after you do that first stitch, you want to replace your stitch marker again so that you remember where your spot is. So this is me just at the end of my 3rd round, and you just continue with this same 1 single crochet in each stitch for a total of 4 more rounds. So a total of 5 rounds with just single crochet in each stitch. And that will be 1 leg of your Among Us character. I'll meet you back when I have the rest of my 5 rounds done. Here's the finished first leg. So what you're going to do now is you're going to remove your stitch marker from that first stitch, and you're going to slip stitch into the first stitch that like half single crochet is just a slip stitch. Then you're going to chain 1 and leave a little bit of a tail and cut off. That is your one leg. And pull through and pull it taut. Next, we are going to make another leg exactly the same as this, but we are not going to cut off our yarn, and I'll meet you back when I have it ready. So here is my second leg ready to go. I'm going to remove my stitch marker, and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to slip stitch into that first stitch. Now we are going to connect the two legs together. So after you do your slip stitch, you chain up 1, and then you pick any stitch on your other leg and you want to single crochet into it. I like to pick the stitch next to the yarn that I have cut off so that it hides that little edge there better. Now we are just going to single crochet all around the leg, and I will meet you back at the back side where the gap is between the legs in the back. So here I am, just a few stitches away from completing the first leg with single crochet. So there I am, just hiding that little tail end. This is the last stitch before we are going to chain up 1 to connect to the other leg in the back. So we do our chain up 1, and then we go into the next available stitch on the other leg. And I like to hide the tails inside the legs so it acts as stuffing and you don't have to cut off anymore. So we're just going to pick the next stitch that is right next to the connection in the front, and then we're going to do a single crochet to connect it in the back. And then the same thing, we're just going to single crochet all around this second leg. And then I will meet you guys back at the front. So here I am, just a few stitches away from that middle part in between the legs, and you just do a single crochet into that middle chain just like normal. It might be a little tight to get in there, but it's easy. If you can't get into it, then you can always go just right underneath. Just find any way to get your hook in there basically, and just do 1 single crochet, and then just keep going with single crochet around and around and around. I like to put my stitch marker in to that first where the joining of the legs is, just to make sure that I can count my rows properly. In total, we're going to do 10 rows of single crochet around and around and around these 2 legs. So I will meet you back when I have my 10 rows of single crochet. So this is how your Among Us character should look at this point with 10 rows of single crochet. We're going to count them. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So at this point you should stuff him, but I forgot to at this point, and I stuffed him when I was, all done with his body. But it's easier to stuff him right now, and then do little by little once he gets closed up at the top of his head. But it's just personal preference. With the next row, then we are going to single crochet into 2 stitches and then do a decrease. So just do 2 regular single crochet, and then a decrease is like half a single crochet and then half another single crochet together. So if you just saw me do that one, I'm going to do 2 regular single crochet and then decrease. So it's just half a single crochet, and together. And then 2 single crochet and then a decrease all around for this row. So this is me just ending the row. In that last stitch, I'm just going to put 1 single crochet. For this next row, it's very similar to the last one. We are just going to do 1 single crochet instead of 2. So the pattern is 1 single crochet, decrease, 1 single crochet, decrease. So if you watch me, 1 single crochet, decrease, 1 single crochet, and then a decrease. And then you're going to just continue that all the way around for this row. For the next row, it's going to be just decreases all around. So no single crochets, just only decreases. You want to make sure to put your stitch marker so you know when to stop, so you don't keep decreasing. Make your top too tight. So this is the point where I realized that I forgot to stuff my Among Us character before reaching this point in the project. I'm gonna be straight up, and it was a little bit difficult getting my stuffing into that little opening at the top of his head, but it's definitely possible. If you forget, it's not a big deal. Don't worry. It's just easier after you have completed the 10 single crochet rows of his body to stuff it at that point. And then once you get higher up, it's just less to stuff. So you can watch my technique, and you know, it's pretty easy to stuff your little character. And I'm going to fast forward this part for you guys. So I've just about finished stuffing him, and I'm going to insert my hook back into my loop and do the same thing that we did with the legs, is that we are going to slip stitch into that next stitch, and then we will chain up one and cut and tie. So with our tail, we want to make a long enough tail so that we can sew up in between the legs, because right now we have a gap. So when you make your tail, just be conscientious of that, and you'll see how long I make mine. I make it about maybe 10 inches. Oh, well, maybe longer. You don't need very much, but you can sew it into your little guy, and then it will hide the excess. Anyway, now I'm just going to grab my yarn needle, and I'm going to thread my yarn through the eye of my needle, and then we are going to whip stitch our top of the head closed. If you don't know what whip stitching is, you can just go ahead and watch me. I'll try to explain it the best I can. You want to go through the outside part of your stitch and from the inside. So from the inside, I'm going with the outermost V, part of the V, all around. And that is your whip stitch, because you're kind of whipping it around and around. So this is me just at the last part. Now you're just going to pull it closed so that it kind of resembles your magic ring when you pull it closed. Now I'm just fixing it up a little bit, making sure I like the way it looks. And I'm going to take my yarn needle and, pick a spot in the head and try to get it close to in between the legs so that I can sew up that little gap. The way that I am going to sew it here is just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I'm just going to pick a little spot and then go back and forth, so it just covers that area so that our stuffing doesn't fall out. So I'm just going to fast forward from this point. It just shows me stitching it up and hiding the yarn inside the body. So once you're satisfied with how many times you went back and forth inside the body with that excess yarn, you can go ahead and cut it off as close to the body as you can get it, and then it'll hide and stay secure inside. Now we are going to move on to the backpack. To start the backpack, we make our slip knot and we are going to chain 7. So I will meet you guys back when I have my chain 7 all ready. So here's my chain 7. I'm just double checking that I have 7. And for this row we are going to single crochet all the way down until we get to the second to last stitch. In the last stitch we are going to do 2 single crochet into the 1 chain. So to show you what that looks like, just go ahead and keep watching. It's very, very simple. So this is my second, that was my second single crochet right there. Now we're going to go down the bottom side of the chain. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to do single crochets all the way down until the second to last stitch. And in the last stitch, we're going to do 2 single crochet. So here's my last stitch, and I'm going to do 2 single crochet into it so that you can have enough space to turn around. So now we have like a little caterpillar shape, and we are going to just do single crochet from here on out. So I'm going to do my first single crochet. I'm going to grab my stitch marker so that I know which row I'm on, and this will count as my first stitch. And in total we're going to have 5 rows of single crochet, just single crochet only, not including what we just did with the chain. So here I am just finishing up that first single crochet only row. After this row, we are going to do 4 more rows identical to this one. So in total, you should have 5 rows of single crochet only for your backpack. So I'm going to just do the same thing, take off my stitch marker and work into the first stitch and then replace it, so that's how I count my rows. I will meet you guys back when I have my total of 5 rows of single crochet for my backpack. So here is my completed total of 5 rows for my backpack. I'm going to now remove my stitch marker and slip stitch into that first stitch again. And we're going to chain up 1, and you want to leave a similar size tail to what we left for the head, because we are going to first stuff our backpack and then we are going to sew it up and attach it to the body. So at this point you want to get a little bit of stuffing so that you can stuff your backpack. You want to be careful not to overstuff it so it doesn't look too bulky on your Among Us character. So after you finish stuffing your backpack, you should have something that looks like this. I'm going to grab my yarn needle again and thread my yarn through so that we can sew up the backpack. The stitch that I'm going to use is similar to the whip stitch, but it looks kind of like a shoelace. If you just watch, I do the same inside to the outside motion, but just across the 2 sides, and then it kind of looks like a shoelace. So you just go back and forth, and then it doesn't have to be very tight at this point, because when we reach the end of it, then we're going to pull it taut. So I'm just finishing up my sewing for the bottom of the backpack, and this is the point where we are going to pull it taut. So you just grab one end of your backpack and pull on the tail end so that it cinches up. Sometimes mine gets a bit too cinched, so I have to pull it apart a little bit to give it that square shape again. Now we are going to attach it to the body, but first I'm going to just tuck my end of the yarn more into the back so that it's more hidden than staying on the corner like that. Now we're going to grab our character, and you pick a spot on his body. You know, pick which side you want to be the front, which side you want to be the back, and then the back side is the one that you're going to attach it to. So you just line it up, and then you can go ahead and sew him on. I'm going to fast forward from this point so that you guys can just watch my technique on how I attach his backpack. When you are satisfied with the security and placement of your backpack, then we're going to take that little tail piece that we have and snip it off. Now we are going to move on to making the mask. I'm going to take my gray yarn, make a slip knot, and chain 7, just like we did for the backpack. We're going to make that caterpillar-like shape where we single crochet from the second chain from the hook all the way down until the second to last chain. In the last chain, do 2 single crochet, go on the bottom part of the chain, and then do 2 single crochet in the last stitch on that side. So here I have my little caterpillar. I'm going to single crochet into that first stitch, and I'm going to replace my stitch marker so that I know what row I'm on. Then I'm going to single crochet until the part where it starts to turn down again, and then in that stitch then I'm going to put 3 single crochet into the same stitch. I'm going to show you right now. This is going to be the stitch that I'm putting 3 single crochet into. For me, for all of my characters, then this stitch is always a little bit tight and kind of hard to find. If you can't find it, it's okay. You can go right into that little gap. But make sure you put 3 single crochet. Then you're just going to single crochet back down to your stitch marker. In the stitch right before your stitch marker, you're going to also put 3 single crochet into that one. So right now, single crochet down to the second to last stitch, and then put 3 single crochet into the last stitch. So here I am, almost to the end of my row. With this last stitch that I have, I'm going to put 3 single crochet into the same stitch. After I do that, then I'm going to remove my stitch marker, and I'm going to put 1 single crochet into each stitch along our little caterpillar. So again, that's only 1 stitch in each. No more increasing after this. At this point, this is when I have finished that 1 row of single crochet all around. Now I'm going to half slip stitch into the first stitch, and I'm going to change to my black yarn. So I have just prepared for a slip stitch, just inserted my needle, that's it, and then I'm going to hook my black yarn and complete the slip stitch to change colors. This gives it more of like a seamless look so that it's not just a dramatic difference when you see the change of color that I've seen from other pictures of Crochet Among Us characters. So with the black, you're just going to single crochet all around, 1 single crochet in each stitch until you get to the end. You're just going to slip stitch into that first stitch that you have. And that is just about it for your mask. So the next thing that you want to do is you want to do the same chain up 1, and then we are going to cut and tie the mask. So you want to leave a fairly long tail so that you can secure it onto the body. And then at this point I cut off my gray yarn that is still attached also, and I just tie it in the back. I don't think I included it, but I did that. Next, we're just going to take a little bit of white to do the little highlight in the corner of the mask. This is optional, but I think that it makes the look really come together and look just like the game. So I'm just going to thread my yarn through my yarn needle, and then you just pick a little spot on the mask. I think it's the right hand side that the game shows it. And then you just do a little diagonal line up. So, and then you go back in on it again one more time so it's a little thicker. So that is just about it for the mask. I'm just going to tie the straggling little white yarns together and then cut them off so that the tails are shorter, and just hide them away on the inside of the mask. And then we are going to prepare to attach our mask to the character. So here I have threaded my yarn on my yarn needle. I'm going to set up my mask so that I can attach it onto the body. Same thing with the backpack. You just want to kind of eyeball where you like it to be set, and then just go ahead and start sewing it on. Don't forget to leave a small gap so that you can stuff the mask before you completely sew it closed. I like the look of it stuffed a little bit, but if you don't want that, then that's fine too. Or if you're out of stuffing, it still has the same look, but it won't have the same feeling and texture. But after that, you've just finished sewing it, and then you are done. You have successfully completed a Crochet Among Us crewmate. Please let me know if you like this video. Comment down below and like and subscribe. Thank you for watching my video, especially if you watched to this point. I'll see you guys later. Bye!